Okay, so this is going to be the video recording for the next set of notes in our unit. These will be our notes 3b.3. Right. We're going to talk about CPCTC and not really a whole lot about triangle proofs just yet. Okay, but the CPCTC is going to stand for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. And that's what we're going to write here. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. And you can see the CPCTC right here. CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. When we do start looking at the proofs and the next set of notes, we're going to be using CPCTC when we're asked to prove parts are congruent. And what we're going to add above parts in parentheses, when I mean parts, I either mean sides or angles. But before I can do that, I have to prove that the triangles are congruent. And this will make more sense once we actually start getting into our CPCTC proofs. So let's take a look. We've actually already talked about this in the last notes. We're just going to start putting it into play and actually doing the algebra. So the first one is telling us that triangle XPS is congruent to triangle DNF. We want to find the values of X and Y. So the first thing we need to do is figure out which parts correspond on these triangles so we know which one to set equal. If we look at X first, we're looking at side XS. And if we look up in the name, X and S are the outer two letters. So as we discussed in the previous notes, D and N will correspond because those are the outer numbers. So we go here to D and F. So we got over here to D and F, and these two sides will correspond. Therefore, they're going to be congruent. So to solve for X, so we know if two segments are congruent, their measurements are equal. We're told that by the definition of congruent segments. So we will take 17x plus 3, set it equal to 54. Solving for x, subtract 3 from both sides. We're going to get 17x is equal to 51. Divide both sides by that 17. X will come out to 3. Next, we have y, which is going to be right here at xp. And xp, you see, are the first two letters. They will correspond with the first two letters of the other one. And this will be dn. And if you notice, on the second triangle, they labeled all three. That way you have to use your CPCTC to figure out if the 4y minus 3 went with the 51 or 57. It does go with the 57. So we put 2 tick marks here. And to solve for y, we'll do 4y minus 3 is equal to 57. Add 3 to both sides. 4y will equal 60. Divide both sides by 4, and y will equal 15. Okay? On the rest of these, when I am solving, what I need you to do is once we have it set up, I need you to pause the video, solve it on your own, then resume and make sure that you got the right answer. That's the best way to make sure that you're solving for x correctly. Okay? The next one here, we're given that triangle MTW is congruent to triangle BGK. So again, finding the values of x and y. This time we're looking at angles being congruent. So x is over here on angle T. And when we look up here, angle T is in the middle. It will correspond with the middle letter G. So T and G will correspond together. So when they're congruent, when two angles are congruent, their measurements are equal. Definition of congruent angles. we will take 4x minus 3 is equal to 45. Pause it, do it on your own, and resume only to see if you've got the answer. It's a way to help yourself out. Add 3 to both sides. 4x is going to equal 48. Divide by 4. X is going to equal 12. For y, we're over here in angle B. B is the first letter in one of the names, so it's going to correspond with the first letter in the other one. Okay? But we have a problem. I don't have a measurement for angle M. But we can sure find it. And how we're going to do this is the Triangle Sum Theorem. We're going to add these two, angle T and angle W, together and subtract from 180. But I don't know what angle T is yet. But I know what X is. Substitution property. We're going to remove X, plug in 12, and then subtract 3. And we're going to find out that the measurement of angle T is going to give us 45 degrees. So now we could go to the side and we could do 45 plus 41, Triangle Sum Theorem. We get 86. Subtract it from 180. We get 94 degrees. So now we know that the angle M is 94 degrees. So now we have something to set the 11y plus 6 equal to. So we take 11y plus 6, set it equal to that 94 that we found. Pause, solve for y, and resume. Subtract that 6, we get 11y is equal to 88. We divide both sides. Y will give us 8. The next two do not give us triangles, so we're going to need to draw the triangles on our own. This is the best way to do it and the easiest. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at triangle ABC being congruent to triangle DEF. So I'm just going to draw two triangles. I'm going to label them A, B, C. My other triangle is going to be D, E, F. Then I could take the information that they give me here, that AB, so from A to B, is going to be 8. And I know that AB is going to correspond and be congruent to DE. I'm told that BC over here, the last two letters that will correspond with EF, is 19. Next, they're telling me that AC, find another color to use, AC, that will correspond with DF, is 14. The next bit, they start giving us some algebra. EF over here is going to be 4x minus 1, and DE is going to be y minus 6. They want us to find the values of x and y. Well, we should have noticed right here is this 14 for AC was extra information. We are actually not going to use that. Okay? Solving for x, we have 4x minus 1 and 19. Set them equal to each other. And solve. Pause it, solve it, resume the video to check to see if you got the correct answer. Wind up with 4x equals 20, and x in the end will equal 5. For y, we have 8 and y minus 6. So y minus 6 is equal to 8. Solve, and then resume the video to check your answer. There's only one step to take there, and y should come out to 14. The last one, we're going to do the same thing with the triangles, but this time we're going to switch it up and we're looking at angles. So I'm going to draw these a little bit bigger since I have all this room at the bottom. Here is triangle ZMK. And then I'm going to have triangle APY. I'm going to go ahead and start labeling some things here. Measurement of angle M, so up here, is going to be 112 degrees, and I'm going to find out which angle it corresponds with, and that will be P. So these two correspond. The measurement of angle Y is 41 degrees, so down here we have 41 degrees, and we see that Y corresponds with K. Now they're telling us that angle K, measurement of angle K over here that we already marked, is 13x minus 37. So this one will have 13x minus 37. And the measurement of angle A over here is going to be 2y plus 7. A will correspond with Z. So when we want to solve, we want to find x and y. X we can go ahead and find because we have something for both of these. So we have 13x minus 37. We set that equal to the 41. After adding 37 to each side, 13x is going to equal 78. When we divide 78 by 13, we get 6. So x will be 6. We're going to wind up in the situation again where we've got angle A, we have something, but its corresponding angle has absolutely nothing. So just like what we had to do up here, we had to use the Triangle Sum Theorem after using our substitution property. So here, we can figure out what the measurement of angle K is by taking 13, we're going to substitute in 6 for x, and then subtract that 37. And when we do all of this, we're going to find out that the measurement comes out to, where do I want to write this? I'll write it down here. This angle measurement is going to come out to 41 degrees. So now I have to use my Triangle Sum Theorem, 112 plus the 41. We add those together. We're going to get 153. Subtract it from 180, so we can get our third angle there. We get 27. So this guy is 27 degrees. So I can solve for y now. 2y plus 7 is equal to 27. Subtract 7 from both sides. I get 2y is equal to 20. After dividing out, we find out that y is equal to 10. Okay, so that's using your CPCTC, your corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, to solve, whether I give you a picture or not. Okay?